10 with the mouth. Have to start breaking open the jawbone here. So I did most of the cutting. Oh, sorry, trying to find him. Get closer. Right, there he is. So we can see into the mouth. We're not quite as deep as we need to go. Have to cut a little bit more so we can see the flap. You'll notice the cat doesn't have the little hanging down thing that we have, right? There's no uvula here. There's no, projection. But if you look as we're cutting this open, you can start seeing down here at the base of the tongue. There's going to be a little flap there called the epiglottis that closes off. It's going to stick into the nasopharynx, allow when we breathe, or when the cat breathes in this case, air to go right to the lungs. Also prevents food from going into your trachea. Alright, you can see this little flap right here. Right, that's the epiglottis. And that, actually need to open it a little bit more. So we can see the opening that is protecting. So here's the epiglottis. This slit right here, that's called the glottis. So that actually, if you put something in there, you'll see right here, remember that tube that we located earlier? Those white flexy straw thing, right? So it's going right into the trachea. Behind that opening, right here, that's going to be the opening to the tube that lies right behind the trachea. So the tube that lays behind the trachea, we're entering now. Get the probe here to separate. Remember the sternohyoid muscles you can cut out of the way. Get the other sternohyoid muscle. Remove that. Free up that trachea a little bit more. And then you can hopefully look under the trachea at the soft tube that kind of the trachea is protecting for us. Lift the trachea up, get that separated from underneath, and then if we open the mouth back up and go into that opening, you'll see how now probe is in that second tube right there. I don't know how well you can see that. Okay. It's in the tube that lays right behind the trachea, which of course is our esophagus. So that opening is going to lead into the stomach. Right? This opening leads into the lungs. And you'll see, look up here, some of this. See that opening in the top of the mouth? Right here? When the mouth is closed, that epiglottis goes into that hole, which is our nasopharynx. Right? That opens up and leads through the soft palate and the front of the cat's mouth. Has all these ridges in it. The hard palate, so that opening leads underneath all of that and underneath the hard palate, and then would go out the nostrils. Right? So the nostrils have their own cavity that if we were to go through and in most years we'll put something in to the nostril and then cut a hole in here to actually see it pass through, but it's going to open up right into there, into the nasopharynx, right above the epiglottis. Right? So hard palate, soft palate. Right? Here's the tongue, of course. Now, there's part on your lab about the gingiva, which are the gums. Right? There's not really gum tissue in a cat, but it does have some open spaces, right? Some kind of pits right here. Those are called vestibules. Right? Just like we have vestibules in between our interior doors and the main doors, right? So it does have a vestibule. Also, let's point out on the tongue, I don't know how you can tell, but it has, can you even hear that? It has filiform papilla, right? Like little bristles sticking out the cat uses to clean itself. Right? On the bottom of the tongue, just like in the bottom of your tongue, there's this skin fold here, right, that attaches the base of the tongue. And that's called the lingual frenulum. Right? There's a rumor about I think in that lab I asked a question about a member of the band Kiss that had this cut so he could stick his tongue out farther. Right? On that same line, you know the uvula, and I think I have you look at the uvula in the lab. So the cat doesn't have an uvula, right? Something that, allows us to have the gag reflex. There was a person I actually knew, it was a student, that could actually, and I don't know why he would, but he would grab his uvula and be able to pull it so you could see it out of his mouth. And at one point it got swollen, and he thought he had like a piece of meat stuck in his mouth, but it was just the uvula that had gotten so swollen from him tugging on it for some reason. But you shouldn't tug on your uvula. I don't know why anybody would. Okay, let's see. The lab goes through filiform papilla, top of the mouth called the palate. So again, hard palate with the ridges, the transverse ridges. It says how many transverse ridges cross the roof of the mouth. There are between 7 and 9 usually. So on this particular cat, those transverse ridges, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 in this one. So there's 7 transverse ridges in that. So the cavities. Now, the open space towards the front of the mouth, underneath the hard palate, that's our oral cavity, right? The cavity towards the back of the mouth, underneath the soft palate, right? That's the pharynx, right? Back of the throat, right? So oral cavity and the pharynx. Epiglottis. Let's see. Opening of the esophagus. Humans, the top of the teeth, we have gums, which are called gingiva. Scientific name of the gums, and then we have to define what gingivitis is. And okay, last part is the ear canal on this. Again, the ear canal, you have to kind of actually find the opening and find the Eustachian tube, the tube that leads into the ear. But then we actually have to break a little piece of bone here. Remember, we do have 3 little small bones within the ear canal. Okay. And look away if you're going to be freaked out, but I need to push that in there a little bit. Right? So now we can see the ear canal actually leads right here, right into the nasopharynx. Right? So I mean, if you plug your nose and blow, you can like equalize the air pressure. You can feel that sensation. Right? All right. I believe that's all of Cat Lab 10. All right, Cat Lab 11, we're going to work into the chest cavity. So I will get the lab posted. Good luck.